literally men's own well-being. Again, I'm not saying
It's
that
not that it should
well,
be
hold on. I'm not
prioritized.
saying that men are suffering because they are choosing not to cry every chance they get. Again, I'm saying though that men specifically have an expectation placed on them and a common problem of suppressing emotions, not being emotionally intelligent, thinking they need to be stoic and tough and dominant and aggressive at all times. It's this type of mentality. You're saying like it's going to make or the general public will think it looks bad or whatever. I don't care. I think it looks worse when men are killing themselves. So it's like, let's fix that, you know?
It's just like a kid in school, for example, if a kid starts crying or whatever, or like a 17-year-old, 18-year-old, let's say.
Yeah, my nose is red because I've been blowing my nose a lot. And I have my very nice mug, as you can see here. Picked it out myself. Thought it was kind of nice. I don't want to spill the coffee because it's hot today. So yeah, I was walking along in a department store. You know, I came across this. I thought, man, I got to get this for myself. You know, this is a good present right here. So that's what I did. I got this for myself. I think it really speaks volumes to the fact that I'm the world's best husband.
I just want to know what made you want to transition, because I watched you a couple years ago and you were more so on the right, but now you're more so left, right? Kind of centrist. So what was that transformation? What was that like from? What was the cause of that mainly?
Give me 1 second. Sorry, Bobby Wills. Why don't you get into my Discord, please? You're saying dumb shit. Man, we got a lot of dumb people in chat today. Perfect. Um, what made me transition, what began my transition was it was honestly like a mix of a lot of different things. Just being in a place where I was a little bit more willing to have some introspection in my life. And then being confronted with some evidence that seemed to really contradict some of my more strongly held conservative positions on trans people, systemic racism, that kind of stuff. And yeah, from there it was just kind of like a slow shift, and that was that. Yeah.
So, so as far as like, for example, gun rights, how would you say you lean on that?
I'm in favor of gun rights. I think that it's pretty ridiculous to assume that we're ever going to actually get rid of guns in this country. But I think that also we need to, respect guns for what they are. They do have the potential to kill people, and I think that having better background checks, I think a waiting period might be a good idea. And I'm
Right.
also in favor of references. I think that you should provide references. Maybe it should be like required that you get a psychiatric evaluation before you can purchase a deadly weapon. Stuff like that. So I think that there needs to be more barriers, but I still am in favor of people purchasing guns.
Okay, okay. That's pretty much aligns with what I was thinking as well.
Yeah, we're,
But
we're
as far as like the election and stuff, would you vote Democrat or would you vote Republican?
would I like if the election was right now?
If it was another rematch, Trump versus Biden, who would you vote for?
It would be Biden 100%.
Really? Why?
Yes, because for how for okay, for how old Biden is and how kooky he is and all the gaffes that he has. Yeah, he's funny. It's fun to make fun of him, like where he seems like he's just like stumbling down the stairs. But there's two things. Is one, the president alone is not the only person making the decisions. We know this from even what
Right.
Trump said about surrounding himself with smart people. It's far more the advisors and whatnot that inform the president, and the president kind of gives it the green light. So Biden, based on what has actually been done under Biden's presidency, so far I think has been pretty good. I guess it's a little ways away now, but I mean, we did have the COVID benefits being extended, which I appreciated. And there were some other policies too. I honestly I need to refresh my memory on there, but yeah, absolutely. Compared to Trump, Trump's like a ego maniac. He's literally insane. I mean, he's still harping on about the stolen election. It's like, bruh, get over it.
Yeah. I mean, he does come off as a crazy person, but I guess it's more so like the policies you said before. Advisors, the character, the person themselves doesn't really matter as long as the policies are there, right?
Well, hold
And
on. They matter, of course, but I don't think that it's fair to just be like, well, because Biden is kind of goofy or because Trump seems like he does Adderall or something like that, that's enough to not vote for the person. It's more so what does their administration do?
right, right, and the administration. I mean, what is your take on the like the tax raises? The fact that Biden's tweeting out a bunch of, well, at least the Biden team's tweeting out misinformation, and it had to be corrected by community notes a couple times.
Well, what
Like
did they
they
tweet that
take
was misinformation?
they take bits and pieces about how the economy is doing so well right now, even though it's really not. There's at least a tweet a week about how the economy is doing insanely well, and they bring up this really bad statistic that was disproven. I wish I could bring up the tweet right now, but if you could take my word for it, like they're taking out minor parts, and it's just really really scummy.
Yeah, no, I
They
totally agree. I think that that's really scummy, and then even the whole thing, like, I think it was really stupid what Trump did as far as bringing classified documents home. But then it just found we just found
yeah,
out Biden did it too. It's like, what the fuck is
and
wrong
then
with you
Pence did it
people?
too. Yeah, they all do it. I don't know why.
Yeah,
And
it's bizarre. It's bizarre. So like I think that Biden should get in trouble for that as well. I think that yeah, if you're tweeting misinformation, I'll just I didn't fact check you, but I'll just take your word for it. Then yeah, like that's a problem. The thing is I think that because the way politics are with being so polarized, people have this idea that like because I say I'm going to vote for Biden, that means I need to defend literally everything Biden ever does. There's
right.
plenty of things Biden does that are wrong. Sometimes he's fucking goofy. Sometimes he does seem really confused and old and like he's a loony. Um,
Mm,
but at the end of the day, I've seen what it was like to have Donald Trump as president for 4 years, and it was not good. It was a bad thing. The trans military ban was a stupid fuck thing that he did. Obviously, the whole January 6th incident was incredibly troubling. And then to think that if Trump is elected again, he can't be elected a third time. So he has nothing to lose then. He can go even more extreme if he wanted to.
right. And I think the past couple months, the past year, Republicans in general have shifted their position. Like I'd asked my grandma a couple years ago who she would vote for. She's hardcore Trump.
Of
But just
course.
the past couple months, it's just been everyone against him. Everyone wants DeSantis. So I don't think he has a chance. So I guess the better question is, would you vote for DeSantis over Biden or still Biden over DeSantis?
It would be Democrat over DeSantis or Trump, 100%. The
All the way?
DeSantis, Trump, these people are insane, and they are so invested in this like Twitter culture war. It's insane. I mean, with DeSantis and all, like we're gonna outlaw drag shows. It's like, bruh, come on. I know you saw like a couple spooky videos on Twitter, but there's things way bigger things that are affecting the entire country than a drag show or some dumb shit like that.
Right, but it's something that a lot of people talk about and that a lot of things are becoming normalized. Like taking your kid to a drag show, it seems to be more normalized than it was maybe perhaps 10 years ago, right? Because of the way everyone's accepting now. It's that kind of stuff that people have to push back against if they don't want that to happen in the future. It's
Yeah,
just
but the
like
thing is that if they were like, "Hey, listen, we understand that drag is a performance and that some people enjoy doing that and that it can even be possible that a drag show could exist that is appropriate for children. However, we think that what we've seen recently, there's been a lot of impropriety going on. So for now on, we are going to put forward a policy where we say there is no explicit behavior or explicit content that is to take place in front of a minor person." If they were doing something like
right.
that, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that's fair. Like, yeah, don't do sexual stuff in front of kids. But then it's not like that. Instead, it's like the drag shows are all evil, and then that's what's brought up every time we want to have a conversation about like gay people or trans people, and it seems like it's just this fundamental lack of nuance that makes it really black and white.
I got you. So, okay. I guess this is like shifting topics, but would you rather Biden run for the next election or would you rather him just drop out and have another Democrat run in his place?
I mean, I probably want another Democrat, but I don't know who before you. So don't bother asking me. I'm not sure who I would want that to be.
Got you. And you're like newish to the Democratic sphere as far as that because I watched the Sneeko podcast and I saw that you were like raised primarily as a Republican, right? Like more on the right. So you knew a lot of the right politicians and stuff as opposed to the Democrats now.
Right.
So you definitely have to pick that out. But I guess I just want to talk about the fact that if men should cry, because that was like one of the main things too you talked to Sneeko
hmm
about whether or not it's right for men to cry. Or could you break down like the specifics about the whole crying debate, the argument? Because I disagree with a lot of what you said with that.
Okay.
Like
Which part did you see? Where are you talking about my debate with Sneeko or with Jedediah?
your debate with Sneeko about how men like how he said men shouldn't cry, it makes you look weak and stuff.
Okay.
And I partially agree with that.
Okay.
Um do you agree just in general that crying in itself for men um, is just a weak thing to see. Like if you were walking down the street, you saw a man crying, you wouldn't matter the context; it'd be seen as weak. Would it not?
Um, well, there's two different conversations I feel like we're already having. It's a
Right.
conversation about how things should be, and then a
Mhm.
conversation of how things are right now. So,
Right.
right now, there is a higher likelihood for sure that yes, if a man is seen crying, he's going to be perceived as weak. That is how things are. However, I
Mhm.
strongly disagree that that's how things should be. I also don't I also don't think that things should be the complete opposite in the sense that like men are sobbing every single chance they get. I'm just more advocating for emotional intelligence, recognizing the time and the place, knowing how to act appropriately, and recognizing that it's okay to be vulnerable and yes, sometimes cry and be emotional, so long as it's in the proper context. That's really the kind of thing that I'm advocating for. So, would people see him as weak? Maybe, but I think that you could also, if you saw like a dude crying in a bar with his bros, they might go over and kind of comfort him. So I don't know.
It's just interesting to me because I don't know, like advocating, like saying that crying is okay, crying you can do that. It's correct in that people should be emotionally intelligent and all that,
Hmm.
but via society, it doesn't matter what you believe or what you think. It's just not a good thing to do
No,
because,
it's
and it's it's not a good thing to do just like for the perception of the public. And I understand that we have to as a society change that systemic thing. Like it should be if he's
why
crying,
does that
like
matter
it's
more
healthy.
though? So why should the perception of the public be prioritized over literally men's own well-being? Again, I'm not saying
It's
that
not that it
well,
should be
hold on. I'm not
prioritized.
saying that men are suffering because they are choosing not to cry every chance they get. Again, I'm saying though that men specifically have an expectation placed on them and a common problem of suppressing emotions, not being emotionally intelligent, thinking they need to be stoic and tough and dominant and aggressive at all times. It's this type of mentality. So you're saying like it's going to make or the general public won't will think it looks bad or whatever. I don't care. I think it looks worse when men are killing themselves. So it's like let's fix that, you know?
It's just like a kid in school, for example, if a kid starts crying or whatever, or like a 17-year-old, 18-year-old, let's say, like a senior in high school, no matter what you say or do, like you can't change the public perception. So by saying that, like you could be picked on or bullied or possibly just attacked or whatever
I don't think
for
you're going to be
crying.
attacked in school if you cry.
Not physically,
It would
but like
depend what
picked
you're
on,
crying
bullied.
about. If
I
you
guess
like
that's
start
fair enough.
sobbing because you forgot to pack your ice cream cone with your lunch, then yeah, that's probably kind of silly. But again, I don't think that that's like a bad thing for men. I think that that's just a silly thing for humans in general. We wouldn't expect women to start bawling their eyes out because they forgot their ice cream either, right? Of course,
Yeah,
context is going to matter. But I mean, if an 18-year-old was there at school and started crying and someone asked him what's wrong and he said that, I don't know, maybe like the family dog died or something, I don't think anybody would judge that.
that's fair enough. I think like I formulated this like stuff in my head like a couple hours ago. I had this conversation like in my head back and forth. Wonder what you would say, and
Sure.
it's pretty similar. I had I don't know.
Well, then what?
I
Like,
think
I'm trying to understand then what would be the problem with it?
I had something written down before, but I completely forgot what it was. 1 second, let me look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't find it.
Okay.
Um, I think pretty much a lot of the stuff you say aligns with what I think and say, but I still identify as being on the right. It's kind of weird to think about, and I would never vote for Biden. Just the facts, like him as a person, and also the fact that this past year the economy has like really taken a nosedive. Right? Do you
Mhm.
think if Trump were in office, it would be different, or it'd be something similar based off of policy?
Well, I mean, what makes you think that Trump would be good for the economy?
Well, his like he had like the highest economy, right, before COVID happened, and it
Yeah, but
was
do you remember,
uptrending.
did you look at like the long-term charts there?
As far as just in general,
Yeah, so unemployment and the economy and everything else had been steadily improving well before Trump. It was actually because of Obama policies specifically that contributed to the bettering of the economy. So a lot of people talk about Trump and they say like, "Hey, look, he did so good with the economy." But no, he really didn't. The Democrats were in charge before. They had a good economy going, and then once Obama left office, Trump took over and then just started to take credit for the economy. In reality, there was the recession in 2008, And it's an economic, oops, sorry, it's an economic fact that after there's a large recession, the economy comes back and it tends to come back stronger. So that's what we were seeing is after the 2008 recession, yeah, the economy came back and it came back stronger and unemployment was dropping significantly lower. And then Trump just kind of took over and then he started taking credit for the economy.
Right, but wasn't it like steadily improving even faster when Trump took office? Or is that not the case?
I don't know. I don't think so. And then on top of that, Trump also had other policies like the tariffs, which were really detrimental at the end of the day. Because I understand what he was trying to do there with trying to force corporations and whatnot to operate more so in America, but what he ended up doing was actually just costing the consumer more. So I don't know if he benefited the economy. I mean, I can look it up.
But as far as like Biden now and the economy now, why do you think it tanked? Was it mainly the Russian stuff, Ukraine and stuff that tanked the economy, or was it a multiple like other factors? And also the
Wait,
border crisis as well,
the economy
which is
tanking right now?
well, isn't it like worse off than it was before Biden took office? That's what
Yeah,
I mean.
but this is the problem is that it's not fair to just look at who's in office and then say it's their fault. Because if you want to look before Biden took over, when Trump was still president, the economy was starting to do poorly. Gas prices were going up. It was not like Biden showed up and then all of a sudden just like magically made the economy worse. Now, granted, Biden did contribute to the inflation problem because of his COVID benefits and whatnot, but Trump gave COVID benefits as well. So some of that did contribute to inflation, though. I'm not saying that they're completely innocent or outside of having an effect on the economy, but
Right.
the idea that like Trump just built up this great economy and then Biden came in and messed it up is just that's just not how it works.
Do you think this time next year the economy will be better or worse than it is now? Because I see a bunch of companies right now saying that they're going to cut their workers. The inflation's going up, so it's going to be worse off. Do you think a recession's near in the future? And do you think it's going to be because of Biden or because of COVID and other policies that are happening right now or other world events?
Um, Hold on one second. Before I answer that, I want to read this to you.
Okay.
This is the Joint Economic Committee. Did Trump create or inherit the strong economy? So, unemployment, let me show this on my screen. Under Obama, unemployment fell from a recession peak of 10% to only 4.7%. It has continued to drop and now is 3.5%. This is obviously written a couple years ago now.
Right.
Um, Job growth. By the end of the Obama administration, the economy had experienced 79 or 76 consecutive months of job growth. Since Trump became president, the streak has been extended to 111 consecutive months. So it sounds like what he did is he did inherit a strong economy and then it just kept on going and kept on getting stronger. So I mean, credit to Trump as far as like he didn't mess the economy up, I guess, but he didn't really do anything to actually create this benefit that we have. Average monthly job growth. During the last 35 months of the Obama administration, non-farm job growth averaged 227,000 per month. During the first 35 months of the Trump administration, the average was 36,000 jobs per month. Okay.
Gotcha.
Oh wait, sorry, was 36,000 jobs per month less, averaging 191,000 per month. Hmm. Okay, so yeah,
And I don't
it doesn't seem as though Trump actually did too much as far as like the average job growth and whatnot, at least at first. It looks
Well,
like
I
this
think
ended in
it makes
19.
sense that it's like that, right? Because Obama was just right after the jobs crisis in 2008. Like, it makes sense that he'd make a lot more jobs per year than Trump, right? And then unemployment rate was like the lowest it's been in 20 years or whatever when Trump took office. But it's a fair point that it's like he inherited it and he just made it progressively better and didn't ruin it completely, at least until COVID happened.
Well, yeah,
But the
and I
main
mean,
thing,
I don't think that. Listen, as much as I don't like Trump, I'm not going to be a fucking dishonest hack and be like, Trump wrecked the economy. Like, no, come on. COVID came along even before lockdowns were initiated. Nobody was going out. Nobody wanted to go shopping. Everybody was
yeah,
staying inside, tucked away in their comfy little homes. I mean, obviously, it had nothing to do with Trump. Just like I wouldn't blame Biden if the same type of thing was happening. Um,
right.
but I mean, based on what I'm seeing here, I believe this ended in 2019. Um, Things were growing faster under Obama. And then Trump, yeah, he took over. Trump inherited a strong economy that got stronger. So yeah, sure. I mean, he didn't mess anything up, but if you're talking about like who you're going to vote for this sake, it seems as though there were Democrats that were in office for much longer that had better economic performance than Trump.
Right. Well, there's another bigger issue, I guess, like border security. If we could segue over to that, the fact that there's like an unprecedented amount of illegal immigrants coming from Mexico, and it's like a big issue right now. What do you think about that?
Are there an unprecedented amount of illegals?
From what I've seen, yeah, from the news reports, I see a lot of people on Twitter saying the same thing.
You can't
That's what
trust
I've
shit on
seen.
Twitter.
I can't really, you can't tell what's true and not, but
Okay,
that's what
monthly
people have been saying.
encounters with migrants at the US Mexico border remain near record highs. So there's something really important, though, that needs to be mentioned here.
Okay.
Monthly encounters. When you hear that, you're thinking, there's a Border Patrol guy. Here comes an illegal immigrant. He has encountered the immigrant and then sends him back or whatever. And then that's added to the statistics, right? But
Yeah.
when they say monthly encounters, that actually includes multiple encounters with the same immigrant because a lot of it is they're crossing illegally, they get kicked out, they come back, they get kicked out, and so it could be the same immigrant coming up 3 different times, and that's going to be marked as 3 encounters with an immigrant. Do you see what I
Right. So
mean?
you, yeah, but you're saying like it's a possibility that people could be just doing the same thing, but don't you think it's like significant that it's still record high regardless? Or
Well,
do
let
you
me let
think
me.
they're doing it
This
on
is this
purpose?
is a brand new thing that just came out from Pew Research. So let me see because it might be peaking and it does look like it's higher. So hold on. Migrant encounters refer to 2 different kinds of events. Apprehensions, migrants are taken into the custody of the United States to await, okay, apprehensions are carried out, blah, blah, blah. Expulsions, migrants are immediately expelled to their home country or last country of transit without being held in U.S. custody. Expulsions are carried out under Title 42. Um, let's see. Cuba, Venezuela. Let's see. 7 in 10 encounters in November involve single adults. Let me see here. Sorry, this I try to have this stuff all known ahead of time, but I don't. This is like new
That's all good.
information here, so um, trying to see if they talk about how these are collected. Um, okay, attempting to cross. The recent influx of migrants at the southwestern border has been a key topic of discussion. Okay. The number of monthly migrant encounters had fallen to 16,000, the second lowest total in more than 20 years in April 2020, shortly after the coronavirus outbreak. Okay. But now they have soared since then. Latest available monthly data. Recent monthly totals far exceed. Okay, hold on. There was somewhere over here where I know they mentioned that this was the same the same migrants because of
Yeah.
a certain policy. Well, I'll have to look for this more so. But you know what? For the sake of argument, let's just until I find this, because obviously, I'm not gonna make a claim unless I'm able to demonstrate it and give you some proof. But um, yeah, let's just assume then, yeah, that it's soaring and that it's at record highs and that it's not actually because they're seeing the same immigrant, but that there are a lot of people coming in. Sure. I don't know what's what's your problem with that. I guess. I mean, obviously there are potential issues there. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just wondering what you want
Well,
to say.
it, it's dangerous to the people that live in the southern states because um, if they get arrested, for example, if the illegal immigrants they come in start violence. I'm not saying all of them do that, but
Mhm.
some of them do that. They're undocumented. They go to jail, they get sent back, and then they come back, and it's an uptick in crime from people that aren't even from the country, and also the fact that some Democrats are pushing for illegal immigrants to be able to vote and stuff in the elections without actually being in the country, belonging in the country in the first place. and they haven't gone through the proper channels to get citizenship, as opposed to other people that have gone through the proper channels and got here illegally.
Okay.
Like,
But I think that there's somebody in chat pointed this out, and it's a good point. I'm surprised I missed this, but I mean, this is migrant encounters. This is actually demonstrating that Biden's border patrol is doing their job, right? This isn't illegal crossings.
right.
So it's gone up. There are more people that want to try to come into the country, sure, but sounds like they're doing their job as far as stopping those people, right?
Um, I don't know. I'd have to look more at the statistics as far as that. But I've just seen like, regardless of encounters, I don't think it's just the encounters that are that people are talking about. I think it's just illegal immigration that are just coming through the country as opposed to the encounters.
Let's see. Migrant arrests. Um, I mean, the thing is if your main concern is crime, then all likelihood, all available research that we have actually demonstrates the opposite, that illegal immigrants tend to commit less crime. They actually commit less crime than non-illegals, like just citizens of the country. Um,
Right.
Partially because they're here illegally, so they know that any little fuck up can get them deported. So there is a little bit of that. I mean, it's it's kind of I don't want to say paradoxical, but that's just kind of how it is. They're scared. They don't want to get sent back, so they behave even better. Um, but I mean, they're not really bringing crime. This is just not really a very accurate summary. In fact, there was a study done not too long ago that found that illegal immigrants committed less crime in Texas than Texas citizens.
Okay. Well, what about there's also some illegal immigrants that come in, don't work, and they live off the welfare system.
See,
From
this
what
is the
I
thing. This is why I like having these conversations because this is just not accurate either. So, first of all, if you're here illegally, I don't think you can actually apply for all the same benefits. And second of all, because they pay taxes and because they work and they stimulate the economy and whatnot, illegal immigrants actually pay way more into these social services than they take out. So, for example, Social Security, I think it was over the last like 4 to 6 years, they paid some 200 plus million, maybe it was billion. I gotta find them. I gotta get my stats up. But they paid a massive amount into Social Security, for example. This idea that like they're coming here and then they're just hopping on the welfare and then they're just kind of sucking it dry and then ditching is just it's just not borne out. That's not what happens. I mean, they have an employment rate higher than the average American citizen.
right.
Let me see. Hold on. I have some of this written down here in my notes. Let me see here. According to the New American Economy, undocumented immigrants contributed $13 billion, okay, into the Social Security funds in 2016 and $3 billion to Medicare. 3 years prior, the chief, 12 billion. Okay. 95.8%. That was the employment rate of undocumented immigrants in 2018.
Okay.
95%. $100 billion dollars is the surplus generated by undocumented immigrants in the Social Security program in the last decade. Um, a
Well, if they're
48 hold on,
undocumented,
wait, this is important. A 48% decline in US violent crime from 1990 to 2013, a time when the undocumented population tripled.
if they if they're undocumented, how would they have any statistic when it comes to them? Like, they shouldn't be tracked in any statistic, right? Or is it
They
just
they have a way of tracking them. I mean, I can dig into how they do that precisely, but there's ways to estimate it for sure.
so their estimations as opposed to like pure concrete numbers? Well, I
I
guess
mean,
it's hard to get
I
any.
can look it up more so if you'd like, but yeah, no, this is mostly these are reliable numbers for the most part. Let me see here. I'll pull this up. How do they count the numbers? Ah, okay, gotcha. So this looks like it is. I think this is counting undocumented immigrants that are here under DACA.
Okay.
So they would have a number that way. Yeah, number of DACA eligible residents. Taxes paid. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So I believe this is DACA specifically. So you have undocumented immigrants that are under a program that lets them stay here, and that's how they're being tracked. That's how the statistics are collected.
Right. And I want people who come to America to have like an opportunity to do that stuff. Like I personally don't care as much, but doesn't that hurt the economy? Doesn't that hurt the country in general? People coming in illegally as opposed to legal means.
Doesn't it hurt the economy for people to come in here illegally? Is that what you said?
I'm saying, doesn't it hurt the country in general? People coming in illegally as opposed to legal channels.
I don't know if it would like. I don't think it it necessitates a harm to the country, but I think that there's a higher. Bleh. Sorry, I'm having a tough time talking today. It's the
Okay.
vaccine. Okay, it's poisoned me. But yeah, no, I think that it has the potential though to bring in problems for sure. I mean, if you're not tracking people, right? If you're not giving them authorizing their citizenship here or whatever, then yeah, there's it's harder to track them. They don't have a social security number. It's easier to smuggle stuff in. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of potential problems there, which is why I'm in favor of legal immigration. But even when I was a pretty strong conservative, I was always of the opinion that right now the way that our immigration process works, it's just too stringent. We have one of the most stringent immigration processes in the world. Like, I'm not saying we just let anybody in, I'm not saying we do open borders, but we need to make this more doable and manageable because if I had to, A, wait for like 10 years to possibly get my green card to be in the country legally, or
Mm.
B, just cross the border and not get caught, like, it shouldn't, it almost incentivizes people to come here illegally.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Um, I think I talked about all I wanted to talk about. I appreciate you talking to me. I've been a fan for like years, and I saw the sneaker debate the other day, and I just wanted to talk to you more about that.
Sure. Well, I
Yeah,
appreciate you coming on here. Hopefully I gave you some stuff to think about and yeah, have a good rest of your day. Hope you'll stick around too even though, we don't agree politically.
you too. Thanks a lot.